Footballer finally crowned. Hi, I'm your host, Jeff Graham. Tonight on the Bendorf bench, we'll be talking about Robinson's victory over Oakland in the Division 6 finals and Woodson's win over Edison in Division 5. We'll also be discussing the state playoffs that are upcoming and some redistricting news that went on today in the Northern Region Council tonight on the Bendorf bench. Before we go to that, we want to thank our underwriters, the people that make this show happen. Quality Care Ford Service Center, servicing all makes and models, 703-383-6299. And CCI Screen Printing, the complete apparel design company, 703-978-0257. Tonight's show is coming from the gymnasium at Madison High School. Pete, looking like a nice stadium here. I know it's been redone recently. Good crowd coming out for tonight's basketball games. Hello, everybody. Before we talk football tonight, we are going to be discussing some recent news about redistricting. The Region Council, the Region Council met today, and it's a monthly meeting, and some redistricting news did go on. Pete, you were at the meeting. What? Just tell us kind of what went on today.
Well, briefly, what happened was there was a vote that has to be the executive committee of the Virginia High School League has to approve. Essentially, the region next year will include 2 Loudoun County schools: Stonebridge, which will be a full-time member of the Liberty District for all sports. Loudoun Valley will be a full-time member for the National District for football. They'll play varsity football, and then there'll be a combo district member to the National for all other sports, which means they won't play in the region during regular season play, but when the district tournaments start, they'll come in and play in the district tournaments and can qualify for regional play. So Loudoun Valley and Stonebridge are the new members of the Northern Region. 31 schools next year for the next 2 years.
So it seems like the redistricting problem's finally solved. Hopefully you guys won't have to touch this again.
I wouldn't go so far as to say it's been solved, but
right.
Yeah, we've come to some closure on it.
Hopefully. Well, hopefully that'll be the end of it. We're going to go to some highlights of this past week's games. We'll start with Robinson's victory over Oakland in the Division 6 finals. We'll be going to that. And here we start right off the bat. Oakland playing defense here.
This was the second play of the game, and we lost the handle on the ball there. Tough way to start the game. Next possession, similar situation. Fumbled the ball, and Aveda Stone, outside linebacker, Oakland picks it up and puts it in. And so at this point, it was 9-0 because the first fumble had resulted in a field goal.
Coach, obviously it's a long game, 9-0, not the worst deficit you've probably ever seen. Were you worried at all? Obviously Oakland was a stellar team to get here, but you obviously probably felt comfortable you can come back from that deficit.
Well, to say I wasn't worried would be a misnomer,
right.
But we talked before the game that not everything was going to go our way.
Right.
This little play action pass by Oakland, and he actually ends up being a scramble, and Jack Curtis comes up there and makes the stop on a 4th down situation. Real excited there. We got a punt blocked, and then Oakland turned around, and that's Keith Payne there on a nice little lead that bounced to score 6.
And Oakland actually had their backup quarterback, Reed Teshner, their starter for most of the year, had a broken hand. It suffered late in the season, and he wasn't able to play. Did your defense kind of keep that in mind, facing a backup quarterback?
I don't think that he was necessarily the backup. I think they kind of counted him there as a starter all along, and or at least late in the season. That was a little screen pass you saw there with Kevin Campbell catching it and getting some blockers out in front. Little play action pass is an interference here. That's Joe McDivitt in the corner for Oakland.
I believe that was Pat Purcell.
It's a 3rd down play. It's a toss. A great effort by blockers out in front. Lucas Caparelli diving into the end zone. This is a slant that's a little off target. Nick Altamir, all-region cornerback, comes up with the interception. It's a trap by sophomore Mike Meyer. Good bit of tough running there inside. And the crowd. This is just a fade down the sideline. Well defended again by Nick Altamir.
He's really played extremely well in the playoffs especially.
So just play action pass to Joe McDivitt, makes a nice catch down the sideline.
Coach, your team, I had 545 total yards against Oakland's defense. That's quite a number.
Yeah, that's we're real pleased. We needed to keep their offense off the field. That was an interception there by Cody Grimm, outstanding player for Oakland. This is Lee Carson, junior halfback.
Carrying the pile a bit.
Yep, good bit of tough running. It's Lee again.
Almost the same play.
That's what I thought. And that's junior Andy Mullinex coming off the edge there with a big sack there late in the game. This is actually with about 4 seconds left to go. Just a hitch route. Oakland able to get in the end zone. And I believe that, this is a little onside kick that Oakland was able to recover. Clock didn't run here, so there's still 4 seconds left. And just time for a Hail Mary situation.
Robinson actually wins that game 29 to 22.
Yeah, 29.
I was going to say.
A little bit of a snafu there.
We came out, they gave us a trophy.
Right. And Coach, that was your third region title. There was a rematch from 2 years ago. What was different about this game as opposed to the game 2 years ago?
Pete wasn't the coach.
Pete wasn't the coach. That's right.
No, that's Joe Thompson's done an excellent job over there. In fact, most of Pete's staff is still still part of the Oakland program, and they've really got it going to win the Concord District, to beat Westfield the way that they did, to beat Centerville. That's quite an accomplishment. And I know right now they're probably not real happy with things, but they had an excellent season.
And Pete, you probably had a chance to talk with Joe after the game.
Yeah, a little bit. I think when he looks back, he's going to be pretty happy about what they've accomplished. He was a little disappointed. He felt like, when you get to that game, you want to play your best. He didn't feel like they did. I think some of that had to do with the competition. And as he said, certainly Robinson was the better team and deserved to win the championship that day. But they've done a great job building on that program, keeping it going. Obviously, being the former coach there, I'm proud of those guys, what they've accomplished. Also, I think, what you realize is what Robinson's accomplished in the past 8 years is quite incredible. I believe it's 6 district titles. Is that right?
I don't know.
6 district
Too many
6
to
district
count.
titles. I think 3 regional titles and an opportunity to go for a 3rd state title. So that's truly, truly an outstanding performance from the Rams.
Robinson picks up its 3rd regional title in these recent years. Woodson actually captures their 1st regional title this past weekend. We're going to go to some highlights from that game against Edison. Woodson and Edison.
This was Friday afternoon, which was a really nice game. See the Woodson team coming on the field. You're going to get a good look at Matt Nickerson, our outstanding tailback. Nice crowd there, some crazy students with no shirts on and 40-degree weather.
And a beautiful field. I know, Coach, you were talking about the field before the game.
Here's a field goal that banked in early in the game, make it 3-0. And here's a little option play. Some excellent skill players for Edison.
Right. Edison had to actually beat Jefferson twice to get to this game, and Jefferson for most of the year was a national district
big fullback, Mr.
favorite.
Solomon, running over the official there for the first touchdown
and
of the game.
knocking the official out of the game. I think he had to leave this game.
Yeah. Here's just a straight drop back pass hitting the tight end down to the 1-yard line. Both predominantly running teams, although Edison went to the air towards the end. And here's Solomon banging it in by that nice surge by the offensive line. Another field goal attempt by Edison. And here's Matt Nickerson. They kicked the ball short. They tried to keep it on the ground. One time they kicked it deep. Nickerson pops it through. You get a ground level shot of this. Young man's got great vision and very, very quick feet. He does get run down here by number 17.
And he's
the 5-yard line.
Obviously disappointed not to get in. That's why he's on the ground. Another little option.
Yeah, they run the option. Collins, the quarterback, punches it in. Actually, and here's a touchdown to put him up. I believe it was 29.
Good lead block there.
Yeah, 29-10 at this point. And they felt with about 6 minutes to go. Matt, who's got, I believe, 32 or 33 touchdowns. They kicked off. Short pooch kick, and there was a nice return here.
Takes it the short side.
This is number 2, and I can't remember his name. He's a junior. He's an outstanding return here. And then they throw a touchdown pass to him later, and this actually makes the game 29-25.
Right.
So it came down to the end, but Woodson was able to run the last 45, 50 seconds off the clock and win their first regional title in the school's history, 29-25. Wow. Very entertaining game, on a nice afternoon out there at Woodson High School.
And for Woodson, first-year coach, Jerry Pinoni gets a championship here. How impressive is that to leave? He leaves Lee last year, takes a new program, and to win a regional title in your first season. Now, not many coaches, can say they've done that.
Obviously he went to a program that had been in the playoffs for a couple of years, but I think he took them to the next level, and he's done a nice job. He brought his coaches over with him, and they've implemented the program that he had working at Lee, and certainly they're playing with a lot of confidence. They've been the best Division V team all year.
Right. And I know Woodson kind of maybe disappointed a little bit last playoffs. They lost, kind of early on.
Right.
So.
And 2 years ago, they lost the game to South Lake, so I know that they felt they should have won.
Right.
Which was a 7-2 game, almost was a 2-0 regional final.
And then South Lakes went on to get, I think, destroyed by Phoebus later on down the road. But
it's gonna happen.
But that's neither here nor there. We're gonna be discussing state playoffs. Going right back into it. Woodson is gonna be matched up this week against North Stafford. That game is going to be Saturday, 1 o'clock Saturday afternoon. Don't know a whole lot about North Stafford.
North Stafford's got 3 or 4 Division I linemen that have already signed with, I believe, Syracuse, Boston College, and Virginia Tech. Love to run the football. I think they average about 280 pounds up front, so it's going to be a physical challenge for Woodson. I think that the thing that they've got, obviously running the option offense, they can use their quickness to their advantage. It'll be a challenge, no question. And typically our Division V regional champions haven't fared very well at the state level. This is a pretty good Woodson team, though, and I think they've got an opportunity to make.
Why do you think that is? Why is our Division V a little weak?
Well, and I've said this before on the air. I think that we're the one region in the state where our 5s and our 6s basically are in separate districts. They don't play against each other. They really don't. There's very few Division V, Division VI games, and I think the level of competition that our 5s play doesn't prepare them for the state competition. And I think we need to look at that, especially if they want to win the big prize.
Well, Woodson definitely has their work cut out for them against North Stafford. The other Division V game, Meadowbrook versus Hampton. That's going to go on at Thomas Dale High School. Any thoughts on this?
Well, the only thing I can tell you is a lot of people think the state Division V championship was played in the Eastern Region final. Hampton and Phoebus, who have been the dominant Division V teams. Phoebus has won some back-to-back state championships and traditionally strong. Hampton apparently is very stout on defense. Right. Don't know much about Meadowbrook, Central Region, D5 team.
Right. I know Phoebus. There's years where people say Phoebus could beat some of the Division VI squads. So,
they've got some players, and Hampton does as well.
It should be a good game. Probably the marquee matchup at this table: CD Hilton against Robinson. The two in the area, the two most dominant programs the last 8 or 10 years. Coach, you've had a lot of time to look at the film. You'll be looking at more film this week. What do you see out of Hilton?
Well, first of all, even before I looked at them, you realize they've got an outstanding pedigree. Lou Sorrentino, the very experienced coach, won a state championship at Culpeper before he took over at Hilton, and then won state championship his first year there. 7 straight regional championships. They've got tremendous tradition, and they expect to be there.
Last year, Hilton lost to Westfield in the state semis. Were you able to catch any of that game? Learn anything?
I did not, other than Coach Verbanek telling me that he thought they were extremely tough, and he thought they were pretty fortunate to win. In fact, had to make some big plays to pull it out.
I think that was their toughest game. Westfield went on to beat Lansdowne by I think about 3 touchdowns, but the Hilton game was pretty close early on.
I believe Eddie Royal made a big catch to take what was a close game, and I think they won by 10, but obviously it was a challenge.
And
a lot of those same players are back on offense.
Okay.
He returned the bulk of his offense.
Okay.
Including the quarterback Tristan Simmons.
Okay. So as you start the game plan for them, what are some of the things you're going to need to do well against them, or what are some of the things that you hope happen?
Well, the first thing we are focusing on is how to stop them. They are a team that has big play people offensively at receiver, running back, and quarterback, and they're able to hit the home run in a lot of different phases of the game. So really focusing on trying to be able to match up and minimize the big plays that they're going to get. Excuse me. And then the next thing, we've got to be able to move the sticks and keep their offense off the ball. They're very, very big up front. On one side of the D-line, they're 6'5", 290 is the tackle. The end is 6'4", 285. That's just one side of it. I think the field will probably tilt that way. The other guys are maybe about 270 or 260. Okay. So, we got to figure out a way to be able to offset some of that size up front.
How does your experience in some of these big games play into it? Obviously, you've been here before. You've been you've gone to you've won your championships. Does experience also play a key into this game? Not being kids going they're going to go in not being scared, not being in a situation where they haven't been before.
Yeah, I think experience is certainly a benefit, particularly in preparing the team mentally, emotionally, physically. Playing into December in the past helps quite a bit, but I can tell you nothing really prepares you for the matchup because they're all different. Every team is different. I know this, that the state of Virginia has excellent, outstanding high school football, hence Virginia Tech, UVA, William & Mary, those programs are able to field outstanding college teams predominantly made up of high school football players recruited out of Virginia. So when you get down to where there's only 4 teams left in your division, they're all going to be good.
Right. When I guess back when you went to the state finals against Hilton, a couple years ago. Obviously, the teams have changed.
Yeah, different team. They were tremendous defensively that year, and they really relied on their quarterback. It was, I believe, the lowest scoring region or state final in history, 6-0. They're a different team. I think Mark talked about how much more multiple they are offensively. A lot more formations. They throw the ball and run the ball effectively. They threw the ball one time against us. They wanted to run the ball and play defense, field position football. So they've changed a little bit. But athletically, Hilton will line up with some excellent football players. I mean, that's year in and year out. Obviously, when you've won 7 straight regional championships, there's a reason for that. I think it's going to be a great matchup because you've got the 2 best programs, arguably over the last 8 years. I believe it's 5 state championships between them over that time. You can't beat that.
Right. And I know, the Northern Region is represented, pretty well in the last, in the state. I mean, do you feel a certain amount of pressure to bring another title home for the region?
We always feel pressure. Some of that is self-imposed, and some of it is where the bar is. And I think the community, the Northern Virginia community now, because we've had a certain level of success. When I say we, I mean Northern Virginia. Centerville winning in 2000, and of course Westfield winning last year, and the championships that Hilton has won, as well as our championship. I think people have the sense that, whichever team represents out of Northern Virginia, whether it be Hilton or be Robinson, it's an automatic deal. They're going to hand them the trophy, and that's that could just as easily swing back towards the peninsula or the Central Region. It's not an automatic, but because of the success the region had, I think there is a little bit more pressure. I do.
Speaking of, when you look back at your championship teams of the past, what characteristics do you see in this team that might say, hey, we can win it again?
Well, I think that a common denominator that all of our championship teams have had in the past is a tremendous work ethic, a tremendous resolve, a tremendous commitment to practicing hard every day, and then just that extra intangible of team chemistry and unity and those things. Because all the teams that we've had that have been good, different composition of players. The 01 team had some real future stars on it with Mike Emo and John Kinzer and Kerry Wade, and Blake Schubert and Adam Fasnot, to name a few. This team doesn't have those type of players with that kind of name recognition right now. But they're all different.
One player that people will probably point to as being the star of your team, Lucas Caparelli, had 4 touchdowns. Is he the type of back that can win a game by himself? Do you ever say a kid can win a game by himself?
It's interesting. There was an article, I want to say it was in the post where they're talking about how football is different than basketball, where a lot of times a marquee basketball player can carry his team to the state championship. There are a lot of football teams, including a team over in Maryland that just got eliminated from state playoffs that has the #1 recruit in the country, I think.
Dominic Williams.
Yeah, so I don't think that one player can carry a team. I don't at all. In fact, when Michael Vick was at Warwick, they were 7-3, and when Marcus Vick was a senior there, they were 7-3. And those are two pretty good football players. So, no, I don't think that one player can do it.
I think back at Pete, your final game. I know Jeff Overton was the quarterback for Hilton. A lot of people, made him out, to be the great player on the field. But it was really, I think, their defense as a group.
Their defensive line, their defensive front was extremely tough. Mobile. They had James Watkins at linebacker. I'm trying to think of the defensive lineman who was Player of the Year down there. And Jeff Overton obviously was an excellent player, certainly their go-to guy. But they were very good up front, both offensively and defensively. It was a challenge to move the ball on them. That's the thing that we struggled with, especially when Pat got banged up. To me, football is the ultimate team game. It takes 11 guys, operating together. One foul up, the whole play breaks down. I mean, Caparelli can make some guys miss. Evan Royster, those guys can make some guys miss. And they're not going to make 11 guys miss.
And I think, as you saw in the game, we just saw here, a fumble, bad weather, a bad play call at the wrong time, all that kind of plays into it. I guess the final Division VI game that's going to be going on this week at Sportsplex down in Virginia Beach area, Lansdowne versus LC Bird, and Lansdowne was a finalist last year. That was the team that lost to Westfield, and they're making an appearance again at the States. They graduated their star quarterback Terry Mitchell, last year, and they graduated some key components. It's kind of interesting to see them back here this far.
He actually returned the bulk of his team and felt like after the game that he would be back because he returned his best receiver. He had the Player of the Year in Devion something at linebacker and running back.
Yeah,
that might be right. He did lose a quarterback who was a commit to West Virginia, but I don't think qualified. I knew he returned 3 of his 5 offensive linemen. He returned, I think, most of his back 7 on defense. So I think he felt like he was going to be back. And this LC Bird game is a rematch of the state semi for last year.
Yeah, LC Bird, traditionally pretty strong team out of the Central Region, beat Verina, which was the #1 team in the state most of the year. Interesting situation with LC Bird. They got in. They originally had an ineligible player, similar to the situation that Centerville had, where Centerville forfeited their first game of the season
last year,
and it was a paperwork issue. This year, the Virginia High School League overturned it and basically fined them $2,500 and gave them back their wins. That's how they got in, upset Verina. Here they are playing Lansdowne. Lansdowne is coached by Chris Beatty, who's a Chantilly graduate who played for Mark back in the Chantilly days. He's an outstanding football coach. Outstanding. Won wherever he's been.
Lansdowne probably going to use the experience from getting to the finals last year in this game. We're going to talk about some upcoming programming on the Fairfax Sports Network before we get out of here. The Bendorf Bench, FSN, and Cox 35 present the high school game of the week this week. It's the AAA Division VI state semifinal. Hilton against Robinson. That game's going to air on Sunday at 6 p.m. on Cox 35. And the Bendorf Bench postseason discussion and analysis. That will be, I'm assuming, next Wednesday, 10 p.m., Friday at 2 p.m. on Cox Contest Channel 10. And the Fairfax Sports Reports basketball preview. We're going to be doing that here a little later tonight from Madison Gymnasium. Thursday, 8 p.m., Friday, 12:30 p.m. on Cox Contest Channel 10. And the Fairfax Sports Network is on the web. You can find us on the internet, www.fairfaxsportsnetwork.com. We'd also like to thank our underwriters again, Quality Care Ford Service Center, servicing all makes and models, 703-383-6299. And CCI Screen Printing, the complete apparel design. 703-978-0257. Well, as I guess we wrap up the show tonight, Coach, is there a certain weather you'd like to see this week. I know you've always been a good, I think a team that's been called a mudder. Always good in the kind of the wet weather. It's it's definitely going to be cold probably this weekend.
Yeah, it's supposed to be in December. No, I don't care. We play them on a highway median at this point.
Let me give you a point of clarification. The last 2 years, I've had to work on cleaning my field, shoveling it. When I was at Oakland, we played Western Branch this week, and it snowed 6 inches.
Right.
And we had to move the game to Sunday just to get the snow off. And last year here at Madison, we hosted Massaponax High School, and we got 6 inches of snow. We've had to clear the field. So thank God it's not snowing, because I'm going to tell you what, I don't want to live through that again.
Although I think I did hear they are calling for some weather Saturday now. They changed the
Yeah, just some flurries.
You can't shovel rain, can you? No, I guess not.
Maybe
Peter,
a little bit of snow.
people are probably wondering, are you going to do any advanced scouting, help your brother out here?
You know what? I mean, all I can do is give him some support. There's nothing that he doesn't know or he hasn't prepared for. His coaching staff is well prepared, and certainly he'll have the Rams ready to roll, which I think everybody's seen every time that they've been in the playoffs.
Right. And I know when you made your state final appearance a couple years ago, Mark was down there, I think showing off that state championship ring from a couple years back. Should be a good show. Coach, if you can send a message out to your players who may be watching tonight's show, what do can you get them kind of pumped up for this week's game? Any more than you already have?
Study your scout report.
Okay, study your scout report. Well, tonight we are calling it quits here. We have a basketball game that was in overtime, and we're going to get the score here on that game in a little bit. The final was I don't know who won, but
Robinson won.
Robinson won.
First the girls' game. We're getting ready to start the boys' game here in the Northern Region tip-off tournament.
Well, good luck to the Warhawks and the Rams tonight. We'll be seeing you next week. Good night for the Bendorfs. This is Jeff Graham calling it. Have a great evening.